The stage is set for 9 Republicans to battle it out on the main stage and 4 in the undercard. But right now, the fight for the Republican presidential nomination really seems to be narrowing to 2 men, Donald Trump and Senator Ted Cruz. The state of the race continues to perplex Republican establishment types who like neither of those candidates. That leaves the GOP brass wondering why their base eats up whatever Trump and Cruz have to say, just like voters did, say, 7 or 8 years ago with another outsider. I want to talk about Trump and Cruz with that outsider, former Alaska governor and former Republican vice presidential nominee, Sarah Palin. Thanks so much for joining us. We should also note she is the author of a new book, Sweet Freedom, a devotional, which is a very nice read and a good Christmas present, stocking stuffer perhaps. Governor, thanks so much for being here. So first of all, to the people out there, the majority of the American people who have yet to really learn about Ted Cruz or Donald Trump, even though they've heard something, what's the appeal? Because you like them both.
Right. Both of them seem to want to tend to go rogue. Trump certainly does that. With Cruz, it seems strange to characterize him as one who is extraordinary when you consider what's extraordinary about him is he's just fulfilling campaign promises. He said send me there to the Senate and I'll do all that I can to stop Obama's transformation of America. And he's at least given it the old college try, even though he's met with some roadblocks. Whereas too many politicians, they don't even try to fulfill campaign promises. So that's an appeal of Cruz's. Plus, he's just so doggone intelligent. And then Trump, of course, I mean, it goes without saying, that candidness, that directive and direct answer to questions. People find that very refreshing. It's the antithesis of the status quo in the political arena today, and we like that.
And I've tried to get you to say who you like better and but you won't do it. So just so people know, I did try. Although your daughter said she likes Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. Willow's been real bold.
Willow's a big Trump.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, maybe that's reflective of that younger generation also appreciating those who aren't just a typical old politician.
Well, there's nothing typical about Donald Trump, that's for sure. Rush Limbaugh, who obviously is revered by much of the Republican conservative base, he took issue with the way that Donald Trump talked about Ted Cruz. Here's what Limbaugh had to say.
My questioning here about the way Trump has gone after Cruz here, calling him a maniac, refusing to work with people in the Senate. It's the reason I'm focusing on that, folks, because that's so unlike Trump. I mean, that's a huge mistake for any of you who are holding out hope that Trump is a genuine conservative. Genuine conservative, even in the Republican field, would not go after Cruz this way.
The issue is because we had some audio problems on our side, is that Donald Trump criticizing Ted Cruz for being a little bit of a maniac for taking on the Republican establishment and not playing well with others. Rush Limbaugh says that's not a conservative critique of Ted Cruz. We like that. Where do you come down in this debate?
Well, maybe that was a one-off comment or issue that Trump wanted to bring up because, yeah, I agree with Rush that, obeying that old Reagan rule is you save your ammunition for who the real enemy at the end of the day is going to be, and that's the opponent on the other side of the aisle. And, don't get personal with your fellow Republicans.
Donald Trump has violated that commandment a million times.
Does he draw first blood, though? Or does he defend himself like people expect a leader to defend themselves? So, that's something that needs to be considered. Is he picking fights, or is he just bold enough, gutsy enough to come back and set the record straight?
But you do agree that he shouldn't, you don't like the critique of Ted Cruz as being a maniac with the Republican leaders in Congress because you like that about Ted Cruz.
Well, yeah, so you see, I'm partial about that. Now, had he said that about somebody that isn't in my top tier, I probably wouldn't take issue with it. So, I'm biased there.
Limbaugh also said this about Donald Trump. Take a listen.
He's decided to go after Cruz here in the way the establishment Republicans go after Cruz, in the way the media goes after Cruz, in the way the Democrats go after Cruz. He's essentially put on his John McCain hat here. Say, I'm Donald McCain, and I'm the guy that can cross the aisle and work with the other side. Ted Cruz can't.
Now that puts you in a tough spot because I know you revere John McCain.
I really respect him because he had really good judgment back there in
But
08.
but he didn't. But you don't like the way that John McCain has talked about Donald Trump or Donald Trump supporters or Ted Cruz.
I just know there is a better way for us to get our point across when we need to stay focused on what the real threats and the real problems are in this nation. And the real threat and the real problem is not the GOP lineup who have the guts to be in the arena duking it out in that battle of ideas.
You told me last night when we did a Politics on Tap event here on the Vegas Strip that it's going to take independents from big money to win the White House. And you don't like these super PACs that are out there. No, they're funding not only Jeb Bush, but Ted Cruz is getting a lot of support from them.
Well, you know, and I think that it's not a good thing for any candidate to feel that they must be beholden to even that system of the big donors. And then I think it's just inherent. It's human nature that if you're collecting from them, there is a bit of a string attached. And normal Americans, we don't like that. But now a debate tonight, hopefully that's going to reveal some of those issues like the big donor monies and what the expectation would be. I just hope tonight that there are candid enough discussions that will reveal character and priorities with each candidate. I hope one candidate will ask other candidates, for instance, hey, what took you so long to, say, pay off your own personal debts when you're loaded? Why did it take you years to pay off campaign debts when you're loaded? You can't even manage your own wallet, but you want to manage the rest of our dollars? I like issues like that that will reveal character.
One of those was definitely a reference to Carly Fiorina, the one about campaign debt. Was the other one about Marco Rubio?
It's probably a few of them because the average American, we work our butts off to make sure that we're not in debt so that we don't leave that burden to our children and our grandchildren. And look at these movers and shakers, even in the GOP, certainly on the left, in the Democrat Party, though, who have been contributing to the bankruptcy of America. And we don't do that personally in our lives. So those who can't manage their own wallets, I have a hard time trusting them that they would get us out of the debt that we're in as a nation. And of course, that's that debt. I don't know what the magic number is before candidates will really start taking it seriously. 20 trillion, 22 trillion before they say, oh, okay, a bankrupt nation, we can't afford national security. We can't afford to get out there and beat ISIS when we know we must.
One other thing that you and I talked about yesterday that I thought was so interesting is when there is this tension between Donald Trump and the Republican National Committee, and Trump has said he's going to stay a Republican as long as the party treats him fairly. But he does hold out this prospect of leaving the Republican Party and running as an independent if he's not treated fairly. And you said shame on the GOP if that happens.
Yeah, they will have created that scenario that must be considered then. So certainly on that, I'm on Trump's side. I say, come on, GOP establishment, don't blow it. Don't marginalize Trump supporters, because if Trump does feel, and if it's legit that he's treated unfairly, his supporters are going to leave with him. So GOP, if you really want to win this thing, and we must win this thing in order to undo what Obama has done in his transformation of America, if we want to restore what's great about America, we have to win this thing. So shame on the GOP establishment if they essentially boot a top-tier candidate out.
All right. Alaska Governor Sarah Palin, thank you so much.